Hello there, and thank you for tuning in again to see another one of my reports on the secret dossier on Donald Trump. Today's report is part number 7, and it is report number 101 of the various reports that comprise the 35-page dossier on Donald Trump that was produced by the British former MI6 agent Christopher Steele. I hope you are sending the links for each of these programs to your friends, to all of your friends who are concerned about the survival of our nation and indeed the survival of Western civilization. I have mentioned the fact that these reports are unconfirmed. They are extremely provocative and frightening. There is, however, increasing evidence that these reports are right on the money. While they may have small errors, the gist of them almost certainly now appears to be true. And the support for this claim comes from the fact that just a short while ago, a fourth agent in the Russian security agency, FSB, the spy agency, a fourth member has been arrested and charged with treason for supplying information that is in these reports. Worse than that, or more significant, I should say, than that, yesterday, a fifth agent in Russia was found dead in his car. He apparently, almost surely, is the agent who produced the information for this report, not the one today, but a report coming later, part 15, which detailed information of a secret deal being offered to Donald Trump and his associates by the Russian oil and gas agency Rosneft, which would apparently be mediated by now Secretary of State Rex Tillerson. And the agent who supplied that shocking information, which I will read in part 15, was found dead in his car yesterday. So I think that if this report were just nonsense, as Trump and Putin agree, if it were just nonsense, why would these people be arrested, and why would somebody be dead? I think that we have very, very serious grounds now for believing the general veracity of these reports. So let us proceed now to report number 101. Company Intelligence Report 2016, report number 101. Russia/U.S. presidential election. Senior Kremlin figure outlines evolving Russian tactics in pro-Trump, anti-Clinton operation. Summary. This is dated, by the way, 10th of August, 2016. Summary. Head of PA, that's the presidential administration. Head of PA, Ivanov, assesses Kremlin intervention in U.S. presidential election and outlines leadership thinking on operational way forward. No new leaks envisioned as too politically risky, but further exploitation of WikiLeaks material already disseminated to exacerbate divisions. Educated U.S. youth to be targeted as protest against Clinton, and swing vote in attempt to turn them over to Trump. Russian leadership, including Putin, celebrating perceived success to date in splitting U.S. hawks and the elite. Kremlin engaging with several high-profile U.S. players. including Stein, Page, and former DIA Director Michael Flynn. That's Defense Information Agency Michael Flynn, who is now security advisor to Trump, and who just yesterday, as I speak, began to rattle sabers, threatening Iran, saying that we have put Iran on notice, and making provocative statements, apparently trying to provoke a war with Iran. That's Michael Flynn, who is being reported in this report, and funding their recent visits to Moscow. And now the details. 1. Speaking in confidence to a close colleague in early August of 2016, head of the Russian presidential administration, Sergei Ivanov, assessed the impact and results of Kremlin intervention in the U.S. presidential election to date. Although most commentators believed that the Kremlin was behind the leaked DNC Clinton emails, this remained technically deniable. Therefore, the Russians would not risk their position for the time being with new leaked material, even to a third party like WikiLeaks. Rather, the tactics would be to spread rumors and misinformation about the content of what already had been leaked and make up new content. 2. Continuing on this theme, Ivanov said that the audience to be targeted by such operations was the educated youth in America, as the PA assessed that there was still a chance they could be persuaded to vote for Republican candidate Donald Trump as a protest against the Washington establishment in the form of Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton. The hope was that even if she won, as a result of this, Clinton in power would be bogged down in working for internal reconciliation in the United States, rather than being able to focus on foreign policy, which would damage Russia's interests. This also should give President Putin more room for maneuver in the run-up to Russia's own presidential election in 2018. 3. Ivanov reported that although the Kremlin had underestimated the strength of U.S. media and liberal reaction to the DNC hack and Trump's links to Russia, Putin was generally satisfied with the progress of the anti-Clinton operation to date. He recently had a drink with Putin to mark this. In Ivanov's view, the United States had tried to divide the Russian elite with sanctions, but failed, whilst they, by contrast, had succeeded in splitting the United States hawks inimical to Russia and the Washington elite more generally, half of whom had refused to endorse any presidential candidate as a result of Russian intervention. 4. Speaking separately, also in early August 2016, a Kremlin official involved in U.S. relations commented on aspects of the Russian operation to date. Its goals had been threefold: asking sympathetic U.S. actors how Moscow could help them, gathering relevant intelligence, and creating and disseminating compromising information, kompromat. This had involved the Kremlin supporting various U.S. political figures, including funding indirectly their recent visits to Moscow. And who are they? She or he named a delegation from Lyndon LaRouche. Now this is a voice from the past, but he's still around. Lyndon LaRouche was a Trotskyite, perhaps he still is. He used to teach classes on Marx's dialectical materialism, and he has been linked not only with the far right, but even with the KKK. And get this, presidential candidate Jill Stein of the Green Party. So Russia was courting all of the alternative groups, anything that could divide up the vote, take votes potentially away from Hillary. And so that apparently, well, not if this is true, that included Jill Stein. And it looks from the wording here that Jill Stein herself made this trip to Moscow. But that may be just an inaccuracy. It may have been one of her associates. But the way this is written, she herself went to Moscow. And Trump foreign policy advisor Carter Page, who, as I mentioned, is under investigation, or at least we think he is still under investigation. We haven't heard anything from the congressional committees that are investigating the Russian ties of Trump's advisors. As far as I know, none of the congressional committees are really investigating Trump himself, but I could be wrong. In any case, it may be that by now Trump has squashed these investigations. We just haven't heard anything. But anyway, this included a trip by Carter Page, and get this, former DIA Director Michael Flynn, now our national security advisor in the White House, in this regard, and is successful in terms of perceived outcomes. And that, as I said, was dated 10th of August, 2016. My next program will be on report number 106, or 102, report number 102. And I hope that you will indeed send the link to this and other programs to your friends. It is absolutely urgent that as many Americans as possible know what is likely to be the truth of the desperate situation in which our nation finds itself today. Thank you, and tune in next time.